Yeah.
Why do
Well, that's
weezer
it, plug into.
add-
Oh, it's Rivers.
Oh, you do it. Wait.
I do have it.
Oh, this is like
Sam
crammed space.
Wilson,
Oh,
and
really?
like Matt Sharp,
I know.
Brian Bell,
That's really
Rivers
cool.
Cuomo.
Alright.
Why am I low-key
Wait,
stressing
which
over
one's
my
Rivers
presentation?
This is Rivers Cuomo.
Buddy
Looks like such
Holly
a
is
nerd.
my favorite.
Yeah,
That's the only one I've listened to.
Okay, what's up, guys? I'm Mark. This is ranking Weezer albums worst to best.
Wait, can you go back? I'm sorry.
No.
No.
Johnny, stop.
Johnny, fuck you.
Okay, hurry.
Okay, so number 19 we have like Gratitude. I'm gonna be honest, I actually have like never like heard like this album before, but I just like hear like it's just like really bad. It's like more like pop oriented and like straight as far away from like the Weezer formula. Number 18 we have Christmas with Weezer. There's no original songs, so that's like pretty terrible. I don't know, it's pretty dog shit. 17 we have Pinkerton. Contrary to popular belief, like, okay, so the production of this album is actually like really bad, like in comparison to like Blue. And like there's just like really freaking lyrics. It's like you are 18-year-old girl who live in like Japan or something. Okay, and then there's like this same like 5 instrumental like
So
instruments
true.
like throughout like all the tracks, and like the vocals are just so bad. Like I don't know why. But, like I don't know, Pinkerton is honestly like one of like Weezer's worst albums, and no, I'm kidding, I'm fucking with you. I'm really fucking with you. Actually, my presentation's about lying and gaslighting. So, here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover lying and gaslighting, forms of manipulation. We're going to go over why people manipulate, and then we're going to come to some sort of conclusion, alright? So first, lying versus gaslighting. So, lying is basically like kind of a bad habit, and like it hides the truth or like states the false. Everybody is like aware of it, but people do this just to like avoid responsibility.
Johnny.
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah. But typically with like lying, it usually doesn't concern manipulation, but you can definitely like manipulate and lie. But it's normally used for you to get out of a situation like intentionally or unintentionally. Whereas gaslighting, this is a form of abuse. So it makes you doubt your perception of reality to the point where like you're questioning like literally everything.
What the?
And so it basically like makes somebody else like responsible for something that you didn't do. So this most definitely like concerns with like manipulation and like power and stuff like that. So it hurts you and then like blames you for that hurt intentionally. Like everything, like all the problems just like come back to you. But so gaslighters can be liars, but not all liars are gaslighters. So some signals of like lying would be like avoiding eye contact or maybe like too much eye contact. This is like very like tentative though. Like these aren't like, hey, if you're doing this, you're lying like 100%. But like typically you want to look out for these. So they also have like defensive postures, like crossing their legs and like keeping to themselves. They have like a change in like vocal tone. Like they either like pitch up, pitch down. And usually like with lying, you can definitely like spot when they're lying when they have like contradicting statements. But for gaslighting, on the other hand, they'd say things like, you're imagining things, you're like too sensitive, you're remembering that wrong, I never said that. So here I have a couple of scenarios whereas you can use lying and gaslighting. So if your parents like ask you like what you did today, you can lie and you can say, oh, like I went outside. See,
That's definitely me. 100% lie.
but like that doesn't really concern like manipulation, and it like avoids you being responsible for it. Whereas you can say, you're imagining. No, wait, no. No. But like you can say, maybe you can say that like I was going to go to Publix today, like earlier, and then like your parents say. Like ask you, did you go to Publix? And then you can just like say, I never said that. And then that could be like gaslighting. And like I guess another scenario, like for like your partner like asks like who you're hugging, like you can definitely lie. You can just be like, oh, well,
I'm gay.
yeah. So that just avoids responsibility like right there.
Alright, not the time.
No, but that's like perfect though. Like, that's really good.
You're mad fruity right now.
See, I have cancer.
Yo, crazy! Crazy!
He's never said that. He's imagining things.
You guys are imagining things. You
Yeah,
never
but
said
like
that.
whereas in gaslighting, you can just say you're remembering that wrong. I never said I had cancer. Like, yeah, exactly.
How could we forget?
So going on to other forms of manipulation, we have victim blaming, we have moving the goalposts, we have the silent treatment, projecting, and love bombing. Obviously, these aren't like all forms of manipulation, but these are like the biggest ones in my opinion. So victim blaming, this is basically like, oh, did you want to like?
No, you're good. I'm just like, okay.
Johnny
So-
doesn't know any of this.
It's like,
These are great politics.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's what I did.
So basically, victim blaming is like saying, like someone saying, like implying or treating a person who has experienced like harmful or abusive behavior, like it was like the result of something that they did. So like, it's, I would say, I'm not really an expert on this topic, but like gaslighting and victim blaming are really similar. It's just, I feel like gaslighting is like more broad to include other forms of manipulation. So I guess like one example of victim blaming could be, what did you expect going out dressed like that? If somebody were to get like, you know, like assaulted sexually or something.
not my fault.
That reminds me
sir.
of this one time when.
Bro, we got him, boys.
You got him
I
by
watched this video, and it was like, I don't know, it was like this little kid. It was,
I don't want to be a witness.
This 8-year-old beat up his grandma because he didn't give her
Let the man present.
That's not victim blaming, my God. That's
Bye.
That's
And then,
assault.
and then he was
assault.
and then he's literally like, it was your fault. You started a bitch.
Okay, I.
Okay, let's let the. Okay,
Oh
let's
my
let Mark present.
Oh,
Anyway, yeah, so another example of victim blaming would be like you need to be more assertive, like when you're getting like bullied or something. Like you get bullied and then like your parents just like say, "Oh, why didn't you like fight back? Like why didn't you like be
Why
more
did you shoot
assertive?" And that's like bad, you know.
Well,
Okay,
you stand up for
so
yourself.
another thing is like moving the goalposts. So basically, it's like
It's
the criteria for winning their argument like changes in order to like avoid. See, Zach knows what I'm talking about because he's used.
I've done it before.
I love it.
Like, we were arguing like who was the top, and I said actually being the bottom is better, so I win.
that's how it works.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's better than
that's
Alex's
like a great
example from last
example.
slide.
Me much.
That's like a great example because like somebody like given a task and then like once they like do it, they're like asked to do like something more, and it's just like repetition. It's like a cycle. It like never stops, and they'll never be satisfied. So that's how you can like manipulate somebody. Another way of like manipulation is like the silent treatment. So like when a person refuses to communicate with somebody who is like willing to like communicate back and like fix the problem. So for example, if you have like a fight and you want to talk like it over, but like the other person just like won't talk to you and just like refuses. The fourth one is projecting. So taking like unwanted like traits about yourself and like attributing them to others. So one example would be like a bully like projecting like in their insecurities onto their victim, which is like why bullying like happens. Or like maybe you're in a relationship and like a man projects their insecurities onto their partner.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, definitely.
No, it only pertains to men.
No, I was actually gonna put women here.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be sexist.
First,
Okay, and then
This feels like Johnny intervention.
and then finally, like love bombing. So this is like basically like overly affectionate behavior that occurs at like the beginning of the relationship, but like that happens, and then once like the first few months of a relationship like go by, like the person that was love bombed is just completely like dependent on the person that bombed them with love. So like for example, yeah. So for example, you're like in a relationship and they want to like call you for like 14 hours a day, like back to back, and then like once like winter break is over, like
You ghost them.
No.
No,
I mean,
that's not
what?
right.
No, but like,
You go to the gym more often.
oh yeah, for sure.
Let's go.
But like, yeah, so they like shower you with love and affection at first, but then like, once the relationship like levels out a little bit, like you're just wondering, what did I do wrong for me to like not get as much attention anymore? So, why do people manipulate? So people manipulate because they are narcissistic, they abuse themselves, they are a psychopath, and they learned it. So
From this presentation?
no, exactly. No, I'm kidding.
What's up, guys? Today we're gonna talk about
Manipulation.
I am making manipulators.
Man, I am gonna make a YouTube channel after this.
Yeah,
Oh.
for sure. Okay, but like, so people manipulate because they are like narcissistic. So like, they only see people as like ways to like fulfill their purpose, and like it gives them like a sense of like superiority over them. Or they're like abused themselves, like people gaslighted them, but they just learned from that. And like they were struggling for love, power, or control. Or, you know, they were like insecure, which is why they gaslight. They also like learned it through like normal, like this behavior was like so normal for them that they like internalized it. Or they just use it as like a defense mechanism to like protect themselves as an individual. And I rarely think that anybody here is a psychopath, like you can prove me wrong. But like,
Johnny's on his way.
You said rarely? Or barely?
What?
Doesn't
Why?
it mean the same thing? Isn't
I
that
heard
similar?
I don't know.
To
Alex
say the
said
same
that.
I'll
message?
be honest, I
Doesn't
don't know
that
like
say
half
the
the
same
shit I just said in the past like 5 minutes.
I was like, that actually reminds me of this time, one time me and this kid, we were like,
Dude, you guys wouldn't let me finish. Y'all are just bursting
you did finish, and I mean, go fucking.
Okay,
What do you mean I didn't finish?
It's fine, Alex.
It's fine, it's fine.
Okay,
Fuck
so
you guys.
I don't think anybody here is a psychopath, but like, if you, no, whatever.
If you are, come out now.
Yeah, exactly.
John,
But-
stand up.
And psychopaths manipulate because they have like an absence of like empathy, and like they like rationalize like their terrible behaviors and like blame others for like their decisions and stuff. So now I want to talk about, like what does manipulation like feel like? So it'll make you feel like you're the problem. So this will like consist of like you like no longer feel like the person like you used to be. Like you feel more anxious and like less confident than before. You're always like apologizing often. You feel like everything you do is wrong, and you sense that like something's wrong but like trouble identifying it. And it'll also make you feel isolated in the sense that like you have to like make excuses for like the gaslighter's behavior. You like avoid giving information to like friends and family that could potentially like help you out in this situation, but you just like refuse to like help them because you're unsure yourself. You're being lied to. You're being manipulated. And it's like hard to make decisions and you feel completely hopeless. So now I want to talk about my ex-girlfriend.
Oh, now you guys laugh at me harder, but now you laugh at that, and it's just like, okay, wow.
We weren't laughing. No, what?
Let's continue.
Let it. Just let it.
Okay, Alec, we can talk about this later. Okay.
Alright.
Okay, so basically, like my ex-girlfriend, she used like all these like manipulation tactics. I'd say like besides like projection, but like we'll get there. But like she was a narcissist, but she also had like really like rough like family relations. She would always just like talk to me about like the issues that she had with her family. She was always being like gaslighted by her family and stuff. So it's like her environment that like forced her to like be like do the gaslighting, and she's like unaware, you know. Like some people unintentionally like manipulate because like I said, they can internalize like those behaviors and they just like become the norm. So a couple of examples, I'd say like for victim blaming, one time she asked me to like reassure her that like she wasn't the problem and that like the concerns that I had were like only in my head. And like what's the second one? Oh, moving the goalposts. So like one time she was just talking about like her insecurities like in relation to like exercising and stuff like that, and I was like trying to like be there and like supportive and stuff. So I was trying to like help her come up with like a plan for her to like get over this, and like every suggestion that I made, she was just like move the goalposts. Like I didn't know what she wanted for like me to, you know, like help her out, and it like led to like an argument, and so I was unable to like, oh no, this was like a different time. Oh shit, I got manipulative. Okay.
She's still here. Oh my god.
And then like the third one, like the silent treatment. We had like an argument like besides like the exercise story, but I was unable to like talk to her for like a couple days, and like she just like refused to like find time to like talk through it, and it like felt shitty for me because like I want to solve like all my interpersonal like relationships like immediately, like right away, but she just wasn't letting up for like a couple days. Like I said before, she like never projected, but she always like would talk about how she wanted to like live like the single rich aunt to me when we were like dating at the same time. So that was like really weird. And finally, what's the last one? Yeah, love bombing. Oh yeah, no, this is like the worst part of it. So like I said before, like the 14-hour calls like back to back, that was just like in the first few weeks, and then like for the next like 5 months of our relationship, it would just never be the same, and I would just think to myself, what am I doing wrong for me to like not get this similar amount of attention anymore? And it made me feel like I was the problem. It made me feel isolated, and it was just the worst feeling in the world. So what do you do if you're like being manipulated? So first off, you need to like reflect. You know, you have to like consider your feelings. Like, do you feel angry, guilty, ashamed, or like especially like uncomfortable? Because when you're around like a manipulative person, you should never feel comfortable, especially if they're manipulating you. And so the second thing is to like learn to say no. So if you like stand your ground and you like notice something doesn't feel or sound right, like argue about it. Have a talk with them, you know? Because maybe they're doing it like unintentionally, but you always have to like ask to like be sure. You need to be clear. Like sometimes the manipulator like doesn't have like ill intent, so you need to like explain your wants and needs and expectations for that person, like to them. And when push comes to shove, just end the relationship if you notice that like nothing is happening. Like, of course they'll like say, hey, I'm gonna like improve this part of like our relationship, but nothing ends up happening. Just like, it's the hardest thing to do in the world, but you just need to end the relationship. And finally, if you are like traumatized by it, or if you're like still going through like the manipulation and stuff like that, you need to talk to somebody. Talk to somebody who's like a close friend, or like your whole friend group as a whole, or family, or even like a licensed professional, like a therapist or something. Because they, of course, not everybody will like understand what you're going through, but like making that effort, having another person to just like talk to and like go through it, that's better than just like internalizing like everything in your head, honestly. So just to recap, we went over gaslighting and lying, victim blaming, moving the goalposts, and like the silent treatment, projecting, love bombing, why they do it, how does it feel, and what do you do? And that's my presentation.
Mark, I was really hoping you put the picture that I drew of like your.
Oh no!
I have it pulled up right now.
Yo, dude. Oh
Wait, you didn't say
Oh,
what
I've
your
seen
favorite
that. I've seen that.
weezer
Yeah.
album is.
What's number one?
It's pretty good motivation.
Is it blue?
Put on the screen.
No, it's still Pinkerton. I was just like lying in the Discord.
You're
just
fine.
like
Wait,
preparing
Wait,
to,
you're
like,
fine.
go
That
to
reminds me of this
Wait, what?
presentation I just heard.
Oh yeah, no, you can.
Alex.
This is
I feel so bad about my presentation.
No, when Mark was venting to me, I was inspired to. I was inspired to draw.
You made an artistic.
I know it-
Yeah,
I know
I
it's
kind
hard.
of went a little too far.
Yeah, no, it's like the
Bro.
context was funny, so I wasn't like poking fun at you.
Yeah,
Just,
no.
Word.
Yeah.
it just the setup,
it
the
just,
setup
like,
and
came,
punchline
like-
was perfect.
Yeah, I came out.
It was
of
like
left
a little
field.
out of pocket.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It was left
It
field.
was like talking like, yeah, one time this
Technical
when somebody gets
issues.
raped, and like that reminds me. Like
Oh,
that's-
there we go.
Wait, you said
There
rape?
we go.
You
This
said
is
rape?
what? An essential.
I
That you need, okay?
I hung this in my room and my dad saw it.
Dad?
Yelled